Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Millie and I love indie makeup, especially shiny, shifting, sparkly eyeshadows. And today I'm going to be doing my monthly palette ranking. It is going to be for the month of May, and I have 9 palettes to rank this month, which is probably, I think, actually the most it's been so far in 2020. I like doing my palette ranking monthly because it doesn't matter how many palettes, if I try 3, if I try 15, I just want to rank them. But the credit for the idea goes to Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner, and I will link her channel down below. So let's get right into it. We have 9 palettes. There are 2 palettes that I didn't do a dedicated video on in the month of May, and both the palettes I did actually have since April. So one of them being the Unearthly Sleepover palette, which I featured in previous videos with mixed with some other shadows, so it wasn't like a dedicated video. And then the other palette is the Supreme Mauves by Artist Couture, and I played this one pretty much just exclusively off camera, and I'm gonna pop up 2 photos of looks that I've done, but I didn't feel like I wanted to do a dedicated video on that one. I really bought that one for myself, but I will be including it in this palette ranking. So let's get right into it. Number 9 is the Cherry Love palette from Flower Nose. They did send this to me. I do have a video trying out a bunch of their products, and this palette is super cute. I love the packaging, but it's just not really my preference in terms of the matte formula. The shimmers are really beautiful, but they're almost like they're really similar. It's totally getting blown out. One of them is kind of a duochrome and the other one is just like a super sheer white sparkly shade. So that's why this one is ranking in number 9. It's not that it's a bad palette, it's just not my preference. I do like a little bit more color, a little bit more pigmentation. I have no problem with shadows that need to be built up, but I just want a little bit more than this. So, and also like color story wise, I feel like some of these are much stronger. So in 8th place, I'm actually a little surprised with this one, is the Unearthly Sleepover palette, and I featured this one, like I mentioned, with some single eyeshadows I believe in previous videos, and then I did use this one off camera as well. This is not the best Unearthly Cosmetics formula. This one reminded me a little bit more of the, oh my gosh, what is it called? It was their Halloween palette. I can't remember. Witching Hour, yes. Where the shimmers are really hard pressed and they're just harder to pick up, and not all of them are really that shiny. Laughter and Satin are the shiniest, and then Stay In and Bouquet are really more like satin, which is not something I'm the biggest fan of, but I knew that obviously buying this palette. The mattes in this palette are really thin, which I was really surprised because I love Unearthly Cosmetics matte. All the other palettes that I've tried from them, with the exception of the Witching Hour palette, the mattes are so beautiful. They blend so easy, they build up easy, they like blend together really easy, and these are just really dry. They're really thin, which is not my preferred type of matte formula. So I had a little bit of patchy issues, a little bit of blending issues with this one, so that's why this one is ranking a little bit lower. It's really just like not my favorite formula. Like, it's definitely workable, it's not a bad palette, it's just, I think, even though I really love the color story of that one, I think I prefer some of these other ones over that. So actually this one's kind of funny. In 7th place is the Winnie the Pooh and ColourPop collaboration palette. I know this is like the most neutral palette ever, but it has a little bit of pop of orange and yellow. I created 2 looks with this palette. I did a dedicated video on the whole collection. I did buy the whole collection. I can't believe it. What happened to me in May, because I bought 2 complete collections from ColourPop. I don't remember the last time I've done that. Sometime last year maybe. But I digress. I really enjoyed the mattes in here. There are 2 like sparkle sequin shades, which are whatever, but they just, you know, the sparkle just blends away. The shimmers are not the best in here. Some of them are a little bit more like satin-like, but I thought overall this was great quality, and I do really like the way that the 2 looks came out. So in 6th place is the Supreme Mauves palette by Artist Couture. The front is so dirty. I don't like when the material of the packaging is like this, because look at that. That's just so gross looking, but it doesn't matter, obviously, unless you have a YouTube channel and you need to show the outsides of the palettes. This palette is actually my first dip into Artist Couture. I have not tried anything from them. I think I tried their like loose highlighter way when they first came out with it, probably over 5 years ago. And they've released plenty of eyeshadow palettes, but none of them really spoke to me. And so this one I was like, you know what, mauve tones. I love these kinds of colors. There's one deepening up shade in here. And I gotta say, the mattes blend so nice. They blend together, they build up. It's just like every time I use them, I get an effortless look. However, I do feel like some of these mattes kind of just blend together to look almost the same. Like, I don't feel like we needed all of these kinds of mattes in here because they just kind of look almost the same once they're on the lid, but other than that, they blend together and they build up, like deepening out the outer corner. I will pop up 2 photos I just took with my phone of looks that I've done with this palette. The shimmers are really, really nice. I know a lot of people complained about the shimmers being really dry, but I don't feel like they're dry in a bad way, especially if you're using a glitter primer or you're wetting your brush. They're totally fine. I really like them. They give me that sparkle. They give me that shine. Some of them are a little bit more shiny and a little bit textured compared to others. So overall, I've enjoyed this palette, and I really like the mattes. Like, I really feel like I was a little bit blown away by the mattes. I don't know what I was expecting, but I really like the mattes. And then what are we on now? Are we in the 5th place? Is the Star Wars and ColourPop palette. This is the other whole collection that I bought from ColourPop in the month of May, and I'm actually wearing this palette on the eyes. I wanted to try it out one more time before I finalized the ranking, and this is what the inside color story looks like. I did 2 looks, kind of like a blue and a red look in my video on this palette. I do really like the palette, and I just really wish that ColourPop would put some more fun special shades in some of their other palettes versus only their collaboration palettes, or maybe just, you know, release less palettes and kind of focus in on some really beautiful shimmer formulas. I do feel like some of these are getting there a little bit. Outer Rim and Space Pirate are really interesting marble super shock shadows. Definitely would love to see more of those. There's 2 duochromes, Hyperdrive and Rebel Princess. I don't know if this one is really truly a duochrome, but it has a really beautiful pinky purple kind of flip to it, almost like an iridescent multichrome, but not quite a multichrome. My biggest critique of this palette is that Galactic Empire and Jedi Knight are not really like super foiled. I would love to have seen those be a little bit more like the silver shade, but otherwise, like, it looks really beautiful on the lid. It actually looks a bit shiny. I did put down a wet base under Jedi Knight, so it did kind of amp it up a bit, but I do really love all the looks that I did with this palette. And then in 4th place is the Salmon 2 palette from Odins Eye. This one was gifted to me by the brand, and I have a dedicated video. I did face swatches of all the highlighters and all the blushes that launched along with this palette. This palette is now sold out. I'm actually kind of shocked that it was sold out. I didn't feel like the color story was anything revolutionary. That being said, I did really enjoy my time with this palette. I love the Odins Eye formula. I love their mattes. I love their shimmers. There's only one special shade, and it's pretty sheer, and it is the shade Starry Sky. So I just wish there was like a multi-chrome in here or something. The rest of the metallics, while Odins Eye has a really beautiful, just nice metallic formula, I just felt like there could have been just a little bit more something special happening in here. And I do also love that there's some deepening up shades in here, which is extremely important to me. It's something that I always talk about. So overall, I really enjoy this palette. I do also like that it makes it really easy to use because you can just do kind of monochromatic looks in a sense, just going across in the rows. So then in 3rd place is the Ascendant palette, which was a collaboration palette between Electrum and Whitney, and this is what the inside looks like. I did do a dedicated video on this one. I did 3 looks. The highlighters, so beautiful. These are some of the shiniest black base multichromes, and then the other multichrome and the regular kind of metallic, what's not really regular. It's super blingy and beautiful. So overall, I really had a great time with this palette. The mattes performed great. I had no really issues. The only thing was that I felt like they didn't look on the lid the way they look in the pan, so I just couldn't quite build up energy to be that dark as it looks in the pan. But otherwise, I had a great time with this palette. So on to 2nd place is the MILF, or the Men I Love Frogs palette from Sugar Drizzle. This one was also gifted to me, and I did do a dedicated video on this one. And this is such a beautiful palette from them. I really love the color assortment. There's a nice mixture of some flaky, chunkier shadows as well as some black base multichromes. And this palette is such a hit. I know that they did a second restock and it sold out super quickly, which I'm not surprised at all because I just really love the assortment of colors in here. And if you want to see more details on the palette, then check out that dedicated video. And in the #1 spot, which is also actually, I think the first palette, is it the first palette I tried in May? It is the House of Elle palette from Adept Cosmetics, and I did receive this in PR. And this is just such a great little 9-pan color story, and it is super bright. I love the assortment of the shimmers and of the mattes as well. I had a great time with this palette. There's some shifty shadows. There's some more topper-like shadows. The shade Zor-El is my probably most favorite multi-chrome ever. It is just so beautiful. It's very, very unique. I don't have anything like it. And this palette just won my heart. I don't have a personal connection to the theming, which is Superman, but regardless, I knew I wanted to try it out. So that's my palette ranking for the month of May. Let me know in the comments below if any of these surprise you. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I will put down all the links in the description box on the palettes that I do have dedicated videos on. And that's everything for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribe. There's so much indie makeup content uploading my channel and much more to come. You don't want to miss out. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.